Hi, welcome to this summary of our class today. Monday, I know this, let me think, 18th of February. If you weren't in class and you're taking a look at this as a way to review, welcome. If you're watching this because you want some clarification of some of the things that we talked about in class today, welcome. Whatever your reason for being here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Most of our class today actually involved some very close reading of the Khirbet Khizeh novella by Yijar. And we'll get to that in just a moment. I obviously can't reproduce here the close reading that we did in class. It took us more than an hour to read just a few pages. But let me make a few comments about this close reading business. We've talked about close reading in the past and how very important it is to take apart a text, to see how it works, to understand why a writer uses a particular device, even a particular word at a particular moment in a story, play, or poem. In the case of writers of literary fiction, there is no word there that is there by accident. The writer has placed every word just so. And it is our job as good readers to figure out why. Because every piece of every sentence helps tell the story. And if we don't read closely, we can miss whole worlds that the writer has created. Close reading is also important because you need that kind of attention to the text in order to write well about that text. If you're many of your papers, I've noticed about Khirbet Khizeh, the initial reactions to Khirbet Khizeh, you used generalizations. You characterized passages rather than showing me precisely what it is about a passage that you like and what made that paragraph or that passage or that sentence work for you in a way that that caused you to recall that passage and bring it up in your paper. This is this is this is the way we write about literature. We it's I've often said to students, it's very important to show me, don't tell me, show me what it is about a text that interests you. Right? When you are choosing passages to write about in your papers, show me what it is about a passage that interests you. Is it the description? Is it the imagery? Is it the alliteration? Is it the unusual lexical choices, the unusual choice of words? Is the writer putting the words together in a way that is unlike other writers, that is unusual, that is striking? And why is it striking? This requires a very close attention to the text, to those little squiggles of ink on the page, or as the case may be on the screen. Let me just give you one quick example of the kind of nuance that we find when we read closely. if you'll take your PDF of Khirbet Khizeh and turn, please, to page 83. This is a moment when it's a very important moment in the novella. It is a moment when the narrator has finally gotten up the courage to say to his commanding officer, Moishe, do we really need to expel them being the Palestinian villagers? That takes a lot of courage for a soldier to question the whole purpose of the mission and question it directly to a senior officer. Moishe basically blows him off, and he narrator says twice, I'm looking at the third paragraph indentation on page 83, but it's not right, I protested, not knowing which of all the arguments and speeches that were fighting within me I should set before him as a decisive proof. And so I simply repeated, it really isn't right. So what do you want? Said Moishe, shrugging his shoulders, and then he walks off. Moishe walks off. There's this sentence that comes at that moment. The narrator says, I would have chosen, for various reasons, not all due to moral strength, to remain silent myself. To remain silent, not to question whether the Palestinians in the village need to be expelled, really need to be expelled. Is this what? How can questioning the whole purpose of the mission? He would rather just be silent. Non-resistance is a lot easier than resistance. Resistance takes courage. Resistance can be very uncomfortable. So he admits that there's some part of him, he's not being heroic here. He'd really just, given his preferences, stay quiet. But he doesn't. And we have to ask ourselves why he doesn't. He goes on and talks about his objection to this expulsion with Yehuda, his other comrade in the unit. Okay. What I want you to keep in mind, hold in your mind, is this reference to his real desire to not say anything. Right? Turn to page 84 now. And look at the top of the page. We can just pick this up from the top of the page. He's been speaking to Yehuda about his objections, about how he thinks this is so wrong. And Yehuda says, so what do you suggest? The narrator says, I just don't know anymore. He's torn. He's confused. He's a morally confused man. He says, I just don't know anymore. Yehuda then says, if you don't know, then shut up. Next sentence. I want you to connect this next sentence to the one that we just talked about. The narrator says, and it seemed that this was the advice that I had preferred from the outset. The advice being to remain silent. Yehuda tells him to shut up if he doesn't have any solution to this expulsion problem. The previous page, he says he would just as soon had stayed quiet. He would just as soon stayed quiet rather than resist. Do you see this nuance? Yizhar captures this nuance that our narrator is trying to come to terms with. This nuance that he's realizing something about himself. That on the one hand, he would rather just stay quiet. He would rather have someone tell him, shut up. But he can't. He proceeds to talk about why he thinks this is not right, this expulsion. Question. What question does all of this beg? If he would prefer reflexively just to remain quiet, why does he proceed to object? What drives him to object? Ask yourself that question. Think about that. We proceeded through, I don't remember exactly what page, but we have probably, I don't know, 20 pages or so still to move through on Wednesday. We will finish up Khirbet Khizeh on Wednesday, and then on Monday we will start Facing the Forest by A.B. Yeshua. And you should already be reading that story. You should have finished Khirbet a long time ago. So I hope that these comments help you with your Khirbet papers by demonstrating what I mean by close reading, so that you too can do these kinds of close readings and reflect those close readings in your papers. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.